Hello and welcome to the Brian's Got Game. I'm Brian. Today I've got a game called The Crew, The Quest for Planet 9. The Crew is a 3 to 5 player trick-taking game by Thomas Singh and is published by Thames and Cosmos. This is a cooperative game, so players must work together to complete 50 missions. The catch is the players cannot openly discuss what cards they have in their hands. The missions start off easy and then get difficult as the game goes on. There's a story, which I won't spoil, that tells of a crew and their trip to space. So let's check it out, and I'll show you how you are allowed to communicate, how to complete missions, and I'll explain some of the icons you'll see in The Crew. To set up, begin by dealing all of the cards to all of the players. We are going to be playing a 3-player game, so in a 3-player game, 1 player will have an extra card, and that is completely fine. Each person gets a radio communication token, and place it green side up. And then shuffle the little mission cards and set those off to the side. And then you also have these little task tokens. It says to keep them handy, so they will be handy right here. And place the commander token in the slightly off center of the table. You are now ready to begin. So to begin, you will have the first player read the first story of the logbook. I'm gonna move this around so you can't read it. Just kidding. And then it tells you some other information. So this one tells you it's the first story part, so you start there. This is the distress token, so we're going to put this in here, just move it over there. You have 1 chance you can flip it over to send a distress signal back home, and you can pass a card to the person on your right, or left, and everybody gets to do that, but that's only a 1-time use. Then over here, there are these boxes, and so you can play 6 times, and you write how many attempts it took you to do it in each box when you play. And then this over here is the mission area, so you can see there's different kinds of missions. This one is you get 1 mission card. Simple, a little boring, but so spread these out a little bit. You'll put that in the center, and then if it has any of these mission extras next to it, then you'd put those in with them, but I'll get to that in a little bit. So then everybody looks at their cards, and the person with the number 4 rocket card goes first. That would be obviously the last one I search, right there. So that is the 4 rocket cards, so they're the commander, so they take the commander token. It's a little stand. So the rocket is the trump suit. So there's 1 to 4, and the 4 is the highest. And the person with the 4 gets to be the commander. So they take the commander token, and then they get the honor of taking this. If there's more than 1, like for instance there were 3, they'd get first pick. So they'd take 1, and then the next person would get to choose, and the next person would take the last one. And then it can keep going around, like if there's more than enough than the players. So that means that this player must win a trick containing the pink number 2 card. So either if he has it, which this is going to be tough, they have to play that card and win the trick with that card, which can be really tough with a low card. Or from a slightly easier standpoint, they would play a nice high pink card, like an 8, and then someone else would toss it in, and then he wins it, and that'd be way easier. But they've picked they got the hard draw on that one. So as soon as all of the missions are completed, you complete it by taking the trick containing the card, you flip it over, and after all of the missions are flipped over, then that mission is over. And that's done, you move on to the next one. So we're just going to jump to 6 real quick. You'd set this up with 3 cards. So we're going to set all 3 of those out, and you need the number 1 arrow on the first one and the number 2 on the next one. You just pull them out in the order that you take the cards out. There's 3 of them, 2 of those, and then this is your communication token, and that means that you cannot fully communicate. So normally during the game, in this instance where this guy had this and he has this very sad card, he would play this out and be like, this is my lowest, or yeah, this is my lowest pink and yeah. So then that means they know he's going to have a hard time winning that. So they're going to need to get rid of their pinks in order for him to win. And then that could be the lowest. If you put it at the top, that means it's your highest, and the numbers go from 1 to 9. So you play this out. This is my highest pink, which means it's going to be really hard for me to win this. And then in the middle, that means that is your only pink. So right here in scenario 6, it has a question mark next to it. That means you can play the card out, but you don't get to specify whether it's your highest, only, or lowest. You just get to put it out. And that's it. All right. So these little arrows mean that you have to do them in that order. You have to do this one before you do this one. And then there's also a 3 and a 4, so you have to do them in order. But the 8, you can do it first, you can do it in the middle, or last. It doesn't matter. All right. So there's also these numbers. You have to do this one first, then second, then third, fourth, fifth. Makes sense. And then these are the other arrows that I talked about. Then this one's the omega, which is the last letter of the Greek alphabet. Basically, you just put that one out, and you have to do that one last. Pretty simple. So it plays like a normal trick-taking game. You take these, and these would go out to all the players. And then it plays like a normal trick-taking game after that. The captain starts, and they play out a card. This would be a good point to put that out, and then you must follow suit, and if you can't, then you can play anything else. You can play any other color, or you can play the wild or the trump suit, and you can only play it if you don't have any of that suit. So he's trying to get the 8 so he can complete his mission. I don't have it, but I do have this 2, so I'll throw that in there. And the final player has the 8. I'll throw that in, and he wins the trick. He passes off the 8. And then the player who takes the trick gets to go next. So then they would start again, probably trying to switch over to the other players so they could get their cards. You can communicate to show your cards, and then after all of the missions are done, you move on to the next mission. And I'm not going to go through any more missions, but there are 50 of them, so that'll keep you busy for a little while. That's how to play The Crew. Okay, got my dad here for parents' opinions. So Dad, what did you think of The Crew? The Quest for Planet 9.
The Crew is awesome. I heard about it, I guess, once they announced the Kenner Spiel. Well, I had heard about it before, but what I didn't know was that it was a trick-taking game. As soon as I heard that, and that it won the Kenner Spiel, I said, sign me up. So trick-taking is my probably all-time favorite mechanic in a game. I played a lot of cards growing up, and so I love The Crew.
Sweet. All right, so that was a good introduction, so we'll just jump right in. So the components. It's a trick-taking game, so there are cards. There's a bunch of cards, and then there's also some little cards that are the gold cards that show you which...
The missions.
The missions, yeah. And then you also have the little cardboard tokens, one for the distress signal one, and then the communication icons, and the little stand for the...
Yeah, the order.
Oh, yeah. And then what order? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the little arrow things.
Yep.
All right. Any other components? I mean...
No.
The box. It's a nice box. Artwork. So they did a good job on the artwork. I mean, it's a trick-taking game, so you wouldn't think there's too much artwork. I mean, there's a lot of art on the cards, but they did a really good job. The box looks great, and then on all of the cards, there's different artwork on each one, and it looks cool.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't like invent suits. I mean, but they just colorized them, so you have each color, and then there's kind of little shapes, you know, to kind of make it more colorblind friendly as well. But yeah, I mean, it fits the theme of your astronauts going out to outer space. So it looks all futuristic and sci-fi. So
yeah, it's cool. And then strategy, which is the big one. This is a trick-taking game, so there's a lot of choices.
Yes, that's why I like it. Except you can't talk, so it's frustrating.
Yep. So, I mean, the trick is the trick. The trick is that you have to. You get the gold cards, and then you have to win that card. Whether you have to win it with that card, or you have to win it in the stack. Somebody else played it. So you have to communicate to your fellow crew members to give you their cards.
Yeah. So that when I first heard about it, the mission cards, I was like, oh, we got to go do this crazy thing. And then when I was reading the rules, it was like, oh, A mission is just you got to win a trick that has a certain card in it. So,
what else is a trick taking?
I don't know. That's why I was intrigued by the game, and I was like, "What are these missions you speak of?" And it's just like, well, you got to win a trick.
Yeah. And then there are other things like one that we were stuck on for a while was you can't win any tricks with any 9s.
Yeah, that one is tricky.
Tricky.
And there's another one, where you got to win with a 1 and that type of thing. The ordering, like when you're talking about strategy, it's not like it's a cooperative game. So there's just some things that you can do. And if you play, you can, the little circles on your logbook, they put those in there so that you can play 6 times and you can track how many attempts for each 6 playthroughs. But if you're playing with different groups,
then you can use a different set of boxes for each group.
Right, but what I'm saying is you may have a little more chemistry with certain players or whatever, and so like you may think along the same lines. So it may be a little bit easier when you're not communicating than with other people.
Yeah, and then the other big piece of strategy is using your communication piece and being like, "This is my highest grade."
Yes, you should always do those.
Yeah, unless you can't.
Yeah, which in some of the missions you can't.
Yep.
Right.
So yeah, it's a interesting little trick taking game with lots of different pieces that you have to.
Yeah. So if you like,
together.
if you like trick taking, definitely check this one out. It is awesome. You're not really trying to beat anybody else, but it just gives you, missions, little side missions to do while you're playing a trick taking game.
And then you make it to Planet 9.
Well, you may. We don't want to spoil.
Unless you die.
You spoil the story.
Whichever one could happen. Easy for kids. So, it's not that hard. You follow suit, and if you can't, then you don't. But there are some nuances that make it a little more tricky.
Yeah, if they're familiar with trick-taking games, they can play it. We were playing with Lincoln, who's 9. He played trick-taking games before, so he kind of understood it. But there still were some times when you're like, why did you just play that?
I needed a 3.
But, there's nothing stopping them from playing it. It's got colors and numbers, and there's no reading except for whoever's reading the logbook story.
So, yeah, super easy. Overall, it's a great game. Like you already said, if you like trick taking, go for it. And I second that. Like, it's great. We had a lot of fun with this.
Yeah, like I said, when I won the Kenner Spiel, I was like, well, I got to go see what this is all about. And yeah, I have not been disappointed. It is everything that I thought it was going to be.
Sweet. All right. So that's The Crew by Cosmos. Thank you for watching Brian's Got Game. Please like us on our Facebook page. Send us a tweet at Brian's Got Game. Visit our webpage, briansgotgame.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. I am Brian. This is my dad, and I'll see you next time.